In PowerShell Lesson 6, we examined variables and jobs in PowerShell. For PowerShell Lesson 7, our last lesson, we'll focus on scripting. Scripting in PowerShell is similar to a batch program in command prompt in certain ways. Scripts in both command prompt and PowerShell are just files with commands or commandlets listed line by line. The shell programs will read and interpret the commands or commandlets one line at a time from top to bottom. Batch files are saved with the .bat file format, and PowerShell scripts are saved with the .ps1 file format. With scripts, we can do logical comparison, Boolean operation, arithmetic, and utilize variables, parameters, and constructs. For example, if-else, for each, while, etc. Another similarity is the need for managing error handling. Of course, scripting in command prompt and PowerShell are not exactly the same. PowerShell has a stricter policy when it comes to executing scripts. The policy is called the execution policy, and it determines if we can run scripts at all, and the level of restriction if we allow scripts to run. To see what the level of execution policy is set for the current user, we use the get-execution policy commandlet. We discussed the idea of scoping when we looked at variables in PowerShell Lesson 6. And we also have scopes with the execution policy. This is concerning where the execution policy would apply. The main scopes are process, that's for the current session, current user, and local machine. We can use get-execution policy -list to see how the policy is set on different scopes. Let's take a look at the different options of execution policy. The default is restricted, and that basically means no script can run. All signed is less restrictive than the restricted option. In this option, all scripts must be signed by a trusted publisher, even those we wrote on our own at the local computer, in order for it to be allowed to run. With remote signed, which is the recommended setting to use for most users, all scripts downloaded from the internet must be signed by a trusted publisher, but our own scripts do not have to be signed. The least restrictive option is unrestricted, and it loads and runs all scripts. We can also use the bypass option to bypass the execution policy setting and let all scripts load and run. The last option is the undefined option, and it sets the default to the default of the current operating system, which most likely would be the restricted option. With the default being restricted, we have to change the execution policy to one that allows us to run script. And in this case, we'll use remote signed since this is the recommended level by Microsoft. We can accomplish this by running the set-execution policy commandlet with the remote signed as the value for the -execution policy parameter. The interesting thing about this is we do not need elevator rights, such as a local administrator's right, to run set-execution policy. This serves more as a deterrence than a security measure.